Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas, Wednesday, October the 29th. Last time, probably in the month of October, we'll be chatting with our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank
And
you.
I know your allegiance still goes back to the old Brooklyn Dodgers, but I thought I would remind you in a very nice way that the current Dodgers from LA are tied up 2-2 in the World Series with a team that existed in AAA when the Brooklyn Dodgers were around,
Mm,
Toronto.
yes.
Toronto. Remember, Jackie Robinson came from Montreal. Remember that?
Yes, that's right. He was called up from Montreal.
That's right.
It was a
So they
farm
they
team.
were that's right. They were farm teams back in that time. Montreal, Toronto, even Atlanta was a minor league team back in those days. LA was a minor league team. San Francisco. I mean, all these. It's amazing how baseball has reflects the new population of the country, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, the series is tied up 2-2. They had an 18 inning game the other night that went on to like 2 o'clock in the morning. Amazing game, two to one, 18 innings. You got to have a lot of good pitching to do that, Bill.
Yeah, and a lot of stamina and a lot of
Yes.
fans who were interested in watching 18 innings. Now, this was what team did you say?
Well, I think I believe they are related to the Brooklyn Dodgers only in the sense that they have the same uniform.
Yes.
Well, except for the cap. The cap says LA,
Yeah.
and the one that I believe you own has B on it, right?
Oh, yes, the big B, and that meant Brooklyn. There are some people who think it means Boston, but it meant Brooklyn.
Right.
Yes, I do have it, and I wear it every day actually to show that my loyalties have not changed. They could change their address anytime they want to, but they're not going to change my loyalties.
No, that's exactly right. But they have three players from Japan. And as I read this morning, the television audience from Japan is huge. I'm sure that the announcers are very happy to hear that.
Yes.
And of course, because they're playing a team from Toronto, they've got Canada watching the game. And of course, the Dodgers have always had a national audience, and it is the World Series. So
Yes.
altogether, it looks like everybody's making a lot of money, Bill.
Apparently so. Yes, and uh, I suppose that those of us who are loyal to the old team will find something to cheer or some team somewhere that can give us some at least emotional satisfaction.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, you're right. Well, anyway, congratulations to baseball. It's having a good World Series up to the moment. One quick a bit, just some news here that I saw in the last half hour or so, Bill, and that is that CBS News is apparently going to be doing some big layoffs. And it's not just the news; I guess the entire organization. They have a new owner, Paramount, and they came in with the idea that they were going to downsize. They're doing that, and they're hitting the news department hard as well. It's not just the advertising people or the accounting people. They're hitting the news department heavy. I expect I'm not a media expert, Bill, but I expect you'll see that because if you're looking at the ratings of these television channels, they're not up; they're down. Somebody said the other day, Bill, that the CBS Morning News or show, whatever they call it, actually has smaller audiences in some cities than the local morning show. I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot sell advertising like that, Bill.
No, you can't. And the thing is that the networks have changed so much. I mean, CBS used to be called the Tiffany Network. It was the network with the most class. It had a style. It built a beautiful building in New York, presided over by William S. Paley, who was very proud of the building. It had a huge news operation on the west side of Manhattan. And now nobody really looks to the traditional networks for news or for great analysis. They can find that almost anywhere.
Right.
That's the thing that we had. I mean, when I was growing up, we had in New York something like 7 television channels, which was the largest, I think, in the country, and we thought we were doing well. Now you look at any cable network group or schedule, it's hundreds,
Right.
hundreds, and that doesn't even include the internet and a lot of other things that are coming our way. Some good, some not so good, but the networks, if the networks offered something special, that would be different. But they're offering basically a feature news operation, slanted. Well, I think just about all of them to the political left, and quite predictable. I
That's
mean,
right.
if I wanted to, I learned something important was happening in the world. I would certainly not go to one of the networks. I mean, they'd send out some bit a little bit of news and then go to something else. But what people are going to more than any other network is Fox.
Right. If they watch TV at all, they watch Fox. And I think a lot of other people go to this bill, the phone.
Oh yes.
I mean, this is how I found out that CBS was laying off 2,000 people. I
Well,
wasn't
that
watching TV. I just saw the breaking story here on the iPhone.
yes, it's a completely new world. I think that in the next few years we will get a greater definition of what the public wants in the way of news and what is provided in the way of news. And I have a feeling that the so-called legacy networks may even get rid of their news departments.
I wouldn't be surprised because after all, they got to make money. And the one thing that I've heard this over the years, and that is that the real news moneymaker in television is the local news. So
Yes,
so you've got like in Dallas, for example, you've got the local news at 6. Well, actually, here it starts at some local channels are broadcasting at 4 o'clock. They got 4, 5, and then at 5:30 they have the national news, and then from 6 to 7 they have more local news. And from what I understand, just reading and talking to people, that's who makes money, the local news, because that's what people want to watch in a way. I mean, they want to watch the local weather, the local news, the sports, and the national news. Well, it's interesting, but not as interesting as I guess the local news, Bill.
well, people want to know what's happening in their own city, things that directly affect them. They want to know, and there's the old saying, it's a terrible saying, when it bleeds, it leads. If there's
Mhm.
a major crime that's been committed, they want to know that, and whether they know any of the people involved. It's, it was Tip O'Neill who once said, all politics is local.
Right.
And I think most journalism is local.
No, you're right. You're right. You're exactly right. That's where the money is. That's really where the interest is, or the passion for watching the news is. So anyway, well, let's begin, Bill, with President Trump in the, I guess in Asia. I guess that's although I guess technically they don't call it Asia, whatever they call it. He was in Korea, and he came from somewhere else. I don't remember all the different countries now. Malaysia, I guess, was one. But what, by the way, I think there's something very funny that happened during the trip to South Korea. I don't know if you caught this or not. I was watching a replay of his arrival. And when he's at the very top of the stairs, the escalator in the plane,
Yes,
the Korean military band breaks into Hail to the Chief, which I had
yes.
never heard that before on a travel like that.
On a foreign travel,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I just had never seen that. Maybe it's happened, but I just don't remember it. But here's the part I cracked up when he comes down and he's shaking hands with all the people there who are receiving him. The Korean military band breaks into YMCA.
Yes,
You know,
yes. Well, they must have heard that that was one of his favorite songs,
right? But
and they hear it second and third hand.
right. Yeah, but I just thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
it is hilarious.
I mean, you
It
got
is.
the director of the military band, telling guys, okay, guys, we got to learn a new song for President
Yes,
Trump. And they're all sitting there saying, oh, we're going to play
YMCA.
yeah, we're going to play YMCA. And most of the people in the band are saying, we're going to do what? Yeah, we're going to. So I thought it was funny.
It is funny. And as far as playing Hail to the Chief, many people don't realize that Hail to the Chief is not written for the president. It's written for the presidency.
Mm,
It is not for an individual. It's never played for the individual, but
right,
for the office, because the president is the chief of state,
right.
and that's where
And
that comes from.
that's why they only play it for the current president.
Yes.
Uh, for
Oh,
in
only the
funeral,
current, definitely.
yeah, but in a funeral, they do play it for during the funeral of the president. I think there's one like they play it at certain points in the funeral, like
Yes.
when they're taking him up to the Capitol, um, and then in the funeral itself, in the
Yes.
burial ceremony, they played one last time.
One
So
last time.
yeah, which is interesting. There was a video the other day that came out on YouTube where they played, where they had a video of the last time each president heard the hail to the chief,
Yes,
and it's usually when he turns over the presidency on inauguration day for the next guy,
that's right.
except for President Kennedy when he was killed. Of course, he was in the funeral. They played it for the last time. Interesting video, historical video. They went back to Harry Truman in 1949, and you saw the different presidents over the years. Very interesting video. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But
Please
it's
do.
really it's just a neat little video. All right. Well, President Trump is in the Middle East, not the Middle East, but in South Korea, and he's going to be meeting with the president of China. He's ringing up some interesting trade deals here. Of course, the big one is China, but I'm assuming he's going to pull off China. That's pretty good week for President Trump in these deals because this is a big part of what he's been saying he's going to do, Bill.
Yes, he's gotten some good agreements. Once again, we always caution that uh, it's not an agreement until the check is cashed,
Right?
and money starts flowing to the United States. So once, as in every other area of politics, in the end, it's whether or not we get what we wanted and what we paid for, and whether or not the country is actually physically benefiting from it. If
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, he will get the credit, and our hats will be off to him. If it, however, is one of these tentative deals or the outline of a deal, which is becoming something where we have the basic points down, and then we never see anything, well, then he becomes a blowhard.
Right.
And I really do believe he is now throwing everything he has into the making of international agreements. He is taking a big risk. He is a risk taker by definition. A good deal maker is a good risk taker, and I think in the next months, 4 months, 6 months, we will know whether the Trump presidency will be seen as a great success or a nice try.
Right.
And he will be given automatic credit for certain things that no one else ever tried. Certainly, the effort is there, but in the end, it's what have you done for me lately, which is the old.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think
Yes,
by next summer, as the midterms begin to shape up, uh, if he can put all these trade deals like points on the board, like in a sports event, he's got points on the board, and then the economy is looking okay. I think there's a good chance that he has a good midterm because it's all going to come down to the economy, these midterms. So um, he got some good inflation figures the other day, and now he's got to bring down the price of things. I'm optimistic that as gasoline prices come down, many of those things will come down, Bill. But that's I could be wrong about that, Bill.
well, I always say, I don't make predictions. I have philosophical philosophical discussions.
Right, right,
Never say I predict.
right.
But look, there
Well,
does.
just remember the old Yogi Berra quote, whatever it
Yeah,
was, that he doesn't like to make predictions about the future,
that's
or
right.
or something
That's
like that.
that's
That
right.
that he
Um,
said. So
Look, we are living in exciting times. If all this goes well, or even most of it goes well, Donald Trump will go down. They at least they will give grudgingly the term an important president.
Right.
Where the historians will put him in the rankings is something else, and that final number may not come for many decades.
Hmm.
And look at the way Eisenhower has come way up in the rankings. But if he can pull off the Middle East and to a settlement that leads to a true and new Middle East and Ukraine, end the war in Ukraine, he will enter the pantheon of very important presidents and possibly even great presidents.
And that's important to him.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh
I
yes,
mean, he didn't do all of this just to have the title. He went through all of this, I'm sure, to to be a consequential president. He's
yes.
certainly putting in the effort. I'll give him that.
He will be
Uh,
consequential. I don't
yeah,
think anything that could be not taken away from him. He wants all the whipped cream around it. That's
right. Well, that like that album cover of Tijuana Brass, many years ago, that had the beautiful young woman with whipped cream all around her. You couldn't see her figure, but
yes,
obviously you knew that it was being covered by whipped cream. You
yes.
remember that album cover?
I actually don't.
Well, my parents were huge fans of Tijuana Brass. I
Yes.
don't know why. I know why, because it was an alternative to the Rolling Stones, and they thought that would be better than the Rolling Stones on the radio. So one day, we're looking at some albums at the store, and remember the days where you could actually try the album at the store? You could actually sit
Oh,
there and listen
oh
to it.
yes. I grew up in those days.
Yes. Well, I'm sitting there, and we go in a record store, and we put this LP on the turntable, and my mother is saying, "Well, that's a very nice piece of music," and then I show her the album cover, and she goes, "Who's that?" I said, "Well, that's the album we're going to listen to." I said, "Oh," she goes, "Okay, well, that's." I don't know. She didn't quite understand the album cover, but anyway. So, but yes, Trump is, I think, going to be very consequential and could actually end up being quite good if things break into place. But I do like the price of gasoline, Bill. I don't know what it's like in your area, but I just paid 2.32 for a gallon of gas.
Yes. That's a terrific price. I've been paying about 3.37. But New York has always had high gas prices because it has high gasoline taxes.
Right. We're not California though. I think they're paying, I don't know, $5 out there. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
insane. Pretty insane. They seem to have taxes for everything out there. So
Yes, yes. They probably have taxes that every person who leaves the state
right,
probably has to pay a retrograde tax. The California tax system has always been strange, and it'll probably get stranger. California is losing people, and it's just as important as losing people. It's losing prestige.
right,
You know,
right.
the things that made California glow just don't seem to glow that bright anymore.
Well, the one thing about California is that you're right. They always had high taxes, high cost of living, but people didn't complain about it like they do now.
Yes.
And maybe it's because the state worked. Things worked. I mean, in other words, the streets were safe.
Yes,
That
that's true.
you didn't have these gigantic holes in the streets, and the state was manageable. And when you turned on the fire hydrant, you actually had water coming out.
And the
I
school
mean,
systems were very
and
good in California.
that's right. And then all of a sudden, it seems like in the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, you hear the exact opposite. Now people are
Yes,
saying, I'm paying a lot of taxes, but I don't get anything for it.
that's right. And the crime situation is awful.
Right.
And then housing is so expensive that very few people can actually afford to buy a home. And they are now going to states where it's easier. And one of the things I wanted to bring out was that we're having this awful mayoral election here in New York, and the real estate industry is trying to make something for them out of this and saying, well, New York the city is going downhill, but Joe, we can move to Westchester County where
Mm.
this is not happening. Well, they don't quite understand the situation. It's not only that people want to leave New York City and they are leaving in droves, they want to leave New York State.
Right.
Going to Westchester County, if they no one is leaving New York City so they can live in New Rochelle, which is just north of New York City. They want out of the state because it is the state that controls a lot of the misery that they're going through right now.
That's right. And New Rochelle, that's where Dick Van Dyke, in that show with the Dick Van Dyke show, that's where he and Laura used to live. I remember
Yes,
The Petrie family used to live up in New Rochelle. I
New
remember
Rochelle,
that.
not very far from us.
Yeah, I remember that from the TV shows. Well, we'll get to the New York City in a second, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about this shutdown. It appears that some of the federal unions, Bill, are I guess they're not happy. They're not going to get paid, so you're not surprised about that. But some of them are calling on the Democrats to, talk, negotiate with the Republicans. Sit down and talk to the Republicans, negotiate. And I get the feeling, that the situation has turned against them. Bill, well, what do you think?
Uh, it looks that way this week, and at this hour of this week. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't make any predictions as to what's going to happen. We have an election next week. The outcome of that election will tell the Democrats, I think, pretty much where they stand, and we know where they stand though because the polls are pretty much unanimous that the public doesn't like them, and they have to redo it. But I will imagine this is that Trump at some point will get into the closing of the government and come in and be the man on the white horse, or at least he will try to be.
Yeah, I just hope they can, because I think it's personally, I've always felt that it's a stupid idea to close the government. I don't care who does it. I just think it's a stupid idea. You're
It
punishing
is.
you're punishing a lot of people who really shouldn't be punished. And I just think it presents a dysfunctional country that I don't think we should be. So I think it's always a stupid idea. Now the Democrats, I guess they're saying this is about health care. Well, yeah, I guess it is. Everything is about health care these days. But all they want to do is increase the subsidies. They don't apparently want to have a discussion about healthcare, because the problem with healthcare is that it doesn't work the way it's currently constituted. Bill, I mean, Obamacare hasn't turned out to lower costs. It did open the window for more people to have healthcare. That's true. I'll give him that, and it did eliminate pre-existing conditions. But the question is, at what cost? And that's what nobody, I guess, thought about, Bill.
Well, I think that's part of the emotional content that is here. They're just so angry. They're losing their minds. Rationality has gone out the window. The ability to work together, which used to be really a hallmark of American politics. We always used to brag, in a way we did brag, that our politics is practical, that it's not ideological, that we work together to get things done, even though we make work from a different ideologies. That practicality was, in the end, the thing that made us great. I don't know if that can be said anymore. I really don't.
No, the parties have become are almost. It's incredible. It's like they live in two different planets, these parties, and it seems like the red gets more red, the blue gets more blue, and there doesn't seem to be anywhere where they meet. I mean, I am amazed at how divided the well, maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm amazed at how divided the country is, Bill. I mean, we can't even agree to pass a continuing resolution. I mean, it's
That's
crazy.
right. That's right. It's now the political process, not the whole country necessarily, but the political process has degenerated into hatred.
Right.
And it's irrational. The Democrats are far worse than the Republicans. The Republicans have their mean moments also, but the Democratic Party. This is a party, after all, where we used to hear names like Roosevelt and Truman and Jack Kennedy, and others, and
Hubert Humphrey, remember the great
Hubert Humphrey.
the great
Absolutely,
negotiator. I mean, he was a great negotiator. He
he
he cut
was.
deals. Yeah.
And what do we have today in the Democratic Party? I mean, it's just get Trump at any cost.
That's it. No, you're right. Well, speaking of get Trump at any cost, or the Democrats, I should say, there's a big election happening next Tuesday. In fact, the next time we get together, Bill, we will know who won that election.
Yes.
And what we're hearing, you're much closer than we are, but what we're hearing out here is that Cuomo is having a big comeback and that it's getting closer and closer. But then every time they take polls, it's 44-33 or something like that.
Yes.
So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if to see Mandami drop, but I don't see Cuomo rising enough
Yes.
to make
Yeah.
a difference. So I've come to accept. I don't want this, but I've come to accept that Mandani, I guess, is going to be the next mayor of New York City, Bill.
And that's a tragedy. It really is. The idea that the nation's grandest city, and it is the grandest city, would be under the r- rule, or at least the administration, of this young, unprepared, extraordinarily wealthy leftist, Marxist. We were here today that his mother said he really wasn't an American at one time. That's something we ought to look at, and with great care. And there, I mean, his past comments about individual groups like Jews have been really disgraceful. He does not seem to like the United States very much. He certainly doesn't like the police force very much, and to say he has a lot to learn is minimal, because on the job learning is not something that I admire that much in politics. When a person takes a job or gets a job like mayor of New York, you better be ready for it, because they're going to
Right.
throw everything at you and call you every name in the book. I'm not so sure that he'll be able to take it. I really am not. I have to believe that there are powerful figures in New York who are already planning his downfall.
Well, I hope so. I hope so because not only it's bad for the city of New York, but I think an even bigger problem is for the Democrat Party because I don't care what happens on election day in New Jersey or Virginia. The story that night is going to be New York.
Yes.
And if he wins, and I have to believe he is based on just the data I've seen, then he will be the question is he the new face of the party and can he run for president? And of course, he cannot because he wasn't born here. But there will be a movement within the Democrat Party to declare that that's racist and that we need to change the Constitution so that a person not born here can run. All those kinds of things that they come up with.
Well, they
I,
can. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
now I don't know how he can govern. Oh, by the way, if forgive me for extending myself, just one more thing. I heard a commentator, and I forgot who. I can't remember exactly who it was, so that's why I want to attribute this to someone without being 100% sure. But I heard somebody say that the chief of police should say, "I am not serving under that man." So if he appoints me, I will not accept it.
Well,
And
that's
that would have tremendous political impact if I guess it's a lady, uh,
yes,
if she would say that because
Jessica Trish.
she's well respected.
Oh yeah, that's Police Commissioner Tish. That she has become the most fascinating person in New York, because she is of the Tish family, which is one of the wealthiest families in America, and she has been she just seems to have a knack for public service. Every job she's taken, she succeeded at. And she is now, with no police background at all, she was made police commissioner, and they now love her. She gets along extraordinarily well with the police officers themselves. She has their back. She is a law and order commissioner, but with a somewhat softer touch than some of the men. But they all want her to stay on. The trouble is, if she stays on and the mayor gives an order that she considers hostile to the police, will she follow it? Well, if she doesn't follow it, she has to resign. You can't not follow the order. I mean, because he can fire her. But what happens then? you might have a police force loyal to a commissioner who's been fired and saying, "We're not going to follow this order. What are you going to do to us?" And that could really create a city crisis.
Well, that certainly could leadership crisis as well. I wonder in a situation like that. This is speculative on my part, but on a situation like that, could the state of New York take over the city?
Yes, the
Okay,
governor has the right to fire the mayor of New York. Many people don't realize that, and the
mm,
governor, the governor Hochul right now has endorsed whatever his
Mandani.
name is, Bandami, only because she had to. She was being forced by the left wing of the party. And it was perfectly clear that if she did not endorse him, she would be primaried by the left wing of the party. She herself is not a leftist. She is basically a moderate Democrat,
Right,
but she's going to be in an impossible position. She is running for reelection. Will probably be running against the Republican Elise Stefanik, who is very, very popular. She is a real fighter. She is the one who exposed a lot of the corruption in the universities, and she's very popular among minority groups, especially in the Jewish community, even though she is not herself Jewish. And if Elise Stefanik runs against her, it's going to be a real dogfight. And what does the governor do when they keep on running the tape of her endorsing the communist mayor of New York?
it won't be fun. No.
No, she could get out of politics. I mean, she doesn't
Yeah,
have to run for reelection.
right, right. But then you might even get a worse choice then, because it'll be a bloody primary.
Oh,
I mean,
a
it'll
bloody
be
primary.
yeah.
It might
Um,
be AOC.
that's right. That's right. So it would be amazing. Well, if it's AOC, then I think this lady, this Republican lady's Stefanik, probably wins. I hope
Yes,
so.
I hope
But
so. Anyway, yeah. There
yeah,
could
but what
also
a
be, but there could also be proposals to separate New York City from New York State. These ideas have come up before, but it might come up in a very serious way. I don't know. I don't think it can be done without the permission of Congress.
right.
But there may be suggestions designed more to scare people than anything else. There and remember, the people who are flooding out of New York State now might be induced to come back by some tax changes that would be very attractive. Who knows?
Well, they can come back to like free New York. It could be
Yes.
like the Berlin Wall, or the Berlin
Yes.
situation where you have East Berlin and West Berlin. You could have East New York and West New York, two different states, or something like that. But I do think Congress has to get involved because this has been talked about in other places, like Seattle. They want to break away from. I mean, the people in the state of Washington want to break away from Seattle. In Oregon, they want to break away from Portland. So there have been in Chicago with the rest of the state. There have been these discussions before. One time I heard that they wanted to break up California, but nobody wanted to have L.A. So,
Right.
but I mean, that was kind of funny.
Well,
But
they can turn LA into a people's republic.
yes, they could become part of Mexico or something,
Yes.
But no, but it is really remarkable what is about to happen there in 7 days or so, 6 days. And I have to say, as much as it pains me, I do think he's going to win.
It seems that way. I mean, look, there can be a last minute jolt of some kind or
Right.
scandal. It can happen, but it would be very difficult because all the polls show he's very popular.
Well, what is interesting to me is that I keep hearing that the the advertising or the television ads that are about to drop in New York City this weekend against him are
Yes.
going to be as ugly as they can get. I guess
Oh yeah.
Cuomo
Oh, those.
Cuomo
Yes.
Cuomo is saving a lot of ammunition, from what I understand, for this weekend.
It's going to be verbally bloody, and I think on election night a lot of tension in New York.
Well, the good news about the internet is that we'll be able to see them.
Yeah, yes, that's right. I want to hear his acceptance speech, and I want to see standing behind him all these relatives he's been talking about who now have come have been revealed as America haters
Right.
and this hater and that hater. I mean, the guy comes from an extraordinarily wealthy family. He is not from. This is not a poor boy on his way up,
No.
and they apparently are a family that knows where to place its hatreds.
Well, and in the father the other day something said something rather remarkable. I guess the father is a college professor, and he was saying that Abraham Lincoln inspired the treatment of Native Americans in the United States or something like that.
Nonsense. That's
I mean,
nonsense.
incredible that anybody would even seriously say that. And I guess nobody in the Democrat Party thought that was offensive.
No, they probably didn't. They probably agreed with him because the party today is being run by people who say Abraham Lincoln was really basically pro-slavery and he was a bad man, anti-peace, anti-Native American. Probably took his orders from the King of England. I mean, it's uh, this is just a strange time in American politics. But for the first time in my lifetime, I favor the development now of a third party, which could eventually replace the Democratic Party. I don't think it would be that difficult to get started. What you need is money.
Well,
And
Mandani may just be the breaking point. That may just
yes,
be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because I see Mandani, I guess that's how you say it, having a lot of problems outside of New York City.
yes.
I don't see even in the state of New York. Well, Bill, let me take you to the Middle East, where the Israelis, I guess, have taken some military action against or in the Gaza, I believe. What you make of that?
Well, there has been a series since the ceasefire was announced. It is holding in most places, by the way, but since it's been announced, there have been a series of military exchanges, which seem to be started almost entirely by Hamas firing into Israeli military positions, possibly into other areas of Israel, and Israel has chosen the opportunity to respond militarily with substantial force. And what they're trying to do now is settle things down because
Yeah,
the ceasefire must move forward. It cannot stay in place. Nobody wants the tentative thing we have now. There are other countries in the Middle East, countries that are uh, supporters of the Abraham Accords. They want to move forward. They're not interested in 3 more years of negotiation. So, and of course, the president of the United States himself has said if they're not going to move forward, it will be ended in some other way, probably violent. He's making it very plain.
yes,
There isn't much
and
time.
he said that yesterday, I think, too, in South Korea. I get the feeling that Trump wants to put all this foreign policy behind him as soon as possible, and then make 2026 all about domestic politics, the economy. In other words, he said, "I'll invest all this time in foreign policy stuff, and then next year I'll focus on domestic because I got to keep the house in 2026." Bill.
Well, every political consideration that one can make in politics is up for play this year. It's it, the activeness of political operatives in the United States is at an all-time high. For many of them, this year is a career maker or breaker, and I think that feeling is very much alive in Washington.
Especially for a gentleman named Schumer, who,
Schumer, yes, I've heard of him.
yeah, I think it seems to me that this is a key year for him, or next year.
Yes,
I don't know if next year he's going to have the reelection, but I don't know if it's next year or 28
next year.
next year. So he may have a primary from a certain person who has three letters.
Yes, AOC, and
Yeah,
that next year the story next year will be the Democratic primaries. And first of all, we don't know if he's running again. He may pull out of politics.
right.
He may start a third party or threaten to, and that could be a very, very deadly threat because he has political power all over the place, even in his current condition. And What the Democrats don't want to face in New York next year is a third party, because the Republicans could win if they get their act together. But yes,
Yeah.
Schumer is one that everyone's going to look at.
He could run as an independent
He could
and
be.
probably win.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't have most people in New York don't realize the power that the majority leader in the Senate has.
Hmm.
He has great influence over just about everything. He can bring things to New York simply because of that power. He can speak to anybody on the telephone that he wants to, and influence them. So he may start talking that up, and on the other hand, and say you will lose all these benefits if, if I'm defeated. You will the my replacement will be a junior United States senator from New York, and that's all she will be. And that could have an effect. We're thinking in terms of Schumer, in terms of New York City, where he is from, and in terms of the certain limited number of Democratic established areas upstate. But there are also many, many areas upstate that are solidly Republican.
Well, it's
And
such an interesting state, Bill, because it's like
yes,
you have New York City, that's obviously Democrat, and then you have even Buffalo used to be
yes.
more conservative. It still is probably, and so I don't know. It's just an interesting state. If there was ever a case for splitting a state, it would be New York.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
but
It may.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how you do it either, but I understand it can be done, that there are legal constitutional ways that it can be done. But I do believe that most constitutional experts say it would require the consent of Congress.
I think so. I think you're right about that. I think it would require the consent of, or at least a vote in the Congress, maybe even an amendment. I don't know. I don't know. I guess the fact that it hasn't happened in the past is probably an indication that it's very hard to do, because the other states have played with this. I
Yeah.
know.
Oh, it's a constant discussion,
Yeah,
and there are the constant discussions also about some parts of the country being broken off and made into an independent country. That's a
right.
discussion that goes way back, and of course, we fought a civil war on that.
That's right. No, so it's probably very hard to do, which is probably why it never goes beyond the talking. Well, Bill, all I can say is the next time we chat, next Wednesday, next week, uh, you'll have a new mayor, whoever that is.
That's right.
And,
Well,
and
yes, a mayor elect,
that's right, mayor elect. Yeah.
and then people will be waiting for his inaugural address and for his appointments, which will be super duper interesting.
Yeah, maybe he'll surprise everybody and turn into a Barry Goldwater conservative. I don't know.
Well, that I wouldn't.
You wouldn't bet on that.
I
Okay.
wouldn't
All
bet
right.
on it. No.
All right. Well, I just thought I'd pull your leg
And
a
we'll
little
be
bit.
meeting his family, which sounds like a real group. Wow.
Yeah, they'll be interviewed on whatever channel, the
Yeah.
family, yeah, and we'll learn about all his relatives and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Well, Bill, have a great week, and please let us know what's happening up there,
I will.
and we'll have a lot to talk about next time we get together. Bill, have a great week.
Have a great week to you, and it's going to be an exciting week.
I think so. I think so. All right, Bill. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. All right. Our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. By the way, there was a comment that we got from a reader, very interesting comment, and I just wanted to say this about it. This is, I guess, a reference to when we were talking about Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke, of course, the Dick Van Dyke Show. And if you remember, I guess in the show he was known as Rob Petrie, his wife Laura. Remember, they had those neighbors who was a dentist, crazy wife. Remember that? Anyway, the post or the comment that I got says Jerry Van Dyke, and I think that was his brother who was also in the TV business, and I believe that his brother Jerry Van Dyke had that show My Mother the Car, which was a show for 1 year, I believe only. My Mother the Car. So anyway, thanks for the comments, and to everybody, but I had it'd been a long time since I heard the name Jerry Van Dyke. So thank you for your comment. Have a good day, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later.